Day. Mr Rowley.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. Can I begin by congratulating you on your new post?
You're going to the top of my list.
And also to congratulate all those who have made their maiden speeches today. I'm quite clear that where we can work together for the betterment of our country and for the people of our country, then we should be able to do so. I think that's what the people of Scotland expect, and also it is the right thing to do. I did think, we've been talking this morning, and quite a few people this afternoon, about teachers. I did think, as I listened and read through the First Minister's speech, that if I were a teacher and this was an essay that was setting out some of the key priorities for Scotland, then I would be ticking most of the sentences as we were going through. The issue, I think, is not what's been set out here, but how it will be delivered, and will it be delivered. And I suppose, therefore, the report cards, and we need to ensure that this Parliament holds the government to account, not in 5 years' time, but on a regular basis, to actually see what is being delivered. And if I could turn to a few points. Bruce Crawford talked about earlier in his speech about building a national consensus. I believe that we need to build a national consensus in this country that sets out why austerity is so bad for this country and for the future of this country. And we need to be clear that I certainly would not point the finger at the government in Scotland for creating austerity. That is the responsibility of the Tories in London, and it is a responsibility that they have driven forward based on ideology and based on reducing the role of the state with no regard for the people that austerity will impact upon. Worse than that, what we've seen is over this last few years is austerity is actually failing, and it's pulling Scotland back. Indeed, it's pulling the whole United Kingdom back. So we should be building a consensus in Scotland that opposes austerity because it's bad for Scotland. But we should also build a consensus in Scotland around the idea that you cannot have Scandinavian-type public services whilst paying American levels of taxation. And if we want to have good public services in Scotland, then we need to have the investment in those services. If you take, for example, the First Minister talks about reform of our public services to make them fit for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, I would not be opposed to that. I do believe that there is real opportunity to reform public services and drive the economy forward. But you will not reform public services if those reforms are driven by cuts. Yesterday, I talked with the leader of Fife Council, who said to me that this year they're looking at over 400 job losses taken out of Fife Council. If you multiply that across local government, then this year alone there is going to be thousands of jobs taken out of local government. And if you look at the picture of cuts and austerity being served up for the Tories in Westminster, then in years to come there's going to be even more job losses. At a time when unemployment in Scotland rose by 20,000 between December and February to stand at 171,000 people unemployed in Scotland. Youth unemployment has risen by 2.5 up to 2.5% since 2008. That is young people in their thousands being denied any opportunity and any prospects for the future. Over the past year, Scotland is the only country in the UK to have a fallen employment rate. So we need to tackle unemployment, we need to give people opportunity, but we will not do that by the levels of cuts that are taking place in our public sector across Scotland. And if we look at, for example, the National Health Service, the First Minister acknowledges that we have a problem in terms of GPs. The Royal College of General Practitioners, they say that we have a crisis in terms of GPs moving forward in Scotland. Again, I certainly want to, my party want to work with the government to look at how do we tackle that. This week I met with some retired GPs who tell me that they would be, in the short term, able to start to try and fill some of those gaps, but the bureaucracy that is involved in them trying to come back into the service and provide service on a part-time basis is far too great. So we need to tackle that. In Fife, where I live, the NHS Fife a few weeks ago announced £30 million out of their budget moving forward. How they're going to do that without impacting on already pressured services, people just don't understand. The First Minister talked about the new health and social care partnerships. In Fife, the health and care partnership are starting with £11 million off a deficit. So we have major challenges in all these services that will need investment, yes, public sector reform, but also will need investment moving forward. I also just very briefly wanted to mention the housing proposals that are in
No, I'm
here.
I'm very sorry,
I
Mr
welcome that,
Rowley.
but I would
Not
just,
even very briefly, no,
I
I'm sorry.
would just say we need a national plan for housing. We have a housing crisis in Scotland, so let's work together to deliver
Right.
these plans.